Hey scrappy friends, welcome back to my channel. Helen here. No face-to-face intro today because Mr. Ding was on nights, so I couldn't record it. We are doing day 12 sketch of 30 days sketches. Yes, it is not the 12th of June, but I'm just picking the sketches that I haven't worked with yet to scrap what I feel like scrapping. So this is a double page layout, and it has this wreath kind of bit in the middle and then two borders down the side. So I've taken the shards piece from Vicki Boutin's The Flower Emporium from 49 and Market, and I've hand cut that. I've fussy cut it in half. I missed the record button when I thought I'd hit it, and I've used this. I've tore these pieces of paper, so the two pieces that are torn, the two papers, they are from the paper pad. The background is from the Staples pack, and the shards piece is from the starters. I have with the blue with the craft strip, I've taken that out of the paper pad and kept the branding strip on, and then I've used both sheets and tore along, and then I've used the script paper to then use as another layer underneath that. So mixed media time. So what I'm doing is I'm just roughly drawing inside where the shard piece would cover, and then I'm coming in with Distress Oxide. I think this is Mowed Lawn, and one of my Halo Magpie blending brushes, and just getting some ink down to the background around where the shard piece is going to go. So with this as well, you'll see there I'm going back into over. I don't know if there's anybody watching who hasn't done ink blending before, but you just go back into over what you've done, and then you can it will blend it together. So if you've got like any dark spots where you've not quite done it right, go back into and blend it together, and it will blend it out. Sorry, I thought I'd actually only kept in doing the right hand side of the layout and cut out doing the left hand to shorten the video down, because this was like 2.25 hours this layout took me today, and the biggest part of this is actually the fight of going it onto my computer to to edit. So yeah, so here we go again on the left hand side with the mowed lawn again, just blending out the ink to give me kind of like a shadow, a drop shadow around circle, or just fading that out, and just make sure it's darker closer to where the pattern paper shard pieces are going to be, and lightening that out. Originally the idea was I was going to be sewing around each piece of the layers on that shard piece, but Mr. Ding was in bed asleep on nights, so I couldn't get the sewing machine out. He's in the room next door. He has gone to work now, that's why I'm doing my voiceover. So Rustic Wilderness, I think this is, with one of the Hey Little Magpie stencils. I do mention Hey Little Magpie a lot. It's just where I shop, and I'm no longer on the design team, so there's no paid promotion or anything in this. These are stencils designed by Sarah, who owns Hey Little Magpie, and gorgeous. I've got all of them. They are gorgeous, and just working through, just doing little bits of them. Some parts darker and lighter than others. Some staying within the contained part of the paler green, the brighter green I've already put down, and some coming out just to give it a layer over that. So there's going to be 2 layers of ink on mixed media on each part of where the papers are going. I'm going to do something a bit different where the border strips along the edge of the paper are. This is just I'm cleaning my stencil off onto a white piece of extra thick card, just to layer, put a layer of ink down, just not to waste the ink, and then I will use that as background for another page at another time. So just I've already distressed with the distress tool the edge around this piece, and I just use my finger just to pull it up a little bit more to give it more dimension and away from the page. I'm going to stick the 2 pages together on the back with some washi, just so it's easier for lining up where the second piece, the left hand side, is going. When I was inking and doing the stencil as well, I've gone with the brush with fresh ink on, where you're not going to see it, and then blend it out from there as well. Okay, so we've got the 2 strips. You can see there I've still got the branding strip, the hanging strip, whatever you want to call it. They don't have holes in with 49er markets, so it's brilliant. So I just pulled it straight out of the paper pack with that strip still on. It's not perforated either, like they were on American Crafts, which if you've been watching me for any time, you'll know that I used to hate those perforated edges. So I just love that these are attached, and it just gives a really great effect. You can keep the paper together, and it just looks nice. I really like it. I just liked it as a border on the page without having to add another piece of paper. Right, so mixed media for the going underneath, a layer underneath the strips on the side. I've gone with Dusty Concord, a bit of a spray on with some water here, and going to pick it up with the brayer and do this as a layer along the edge. I'm then going to do it on the left hand side, which I have remembered to cut out this time, whilst that dried. And then once that's dried, I come back in with prize ribbon. And this is again another stencil from Sarah. It is it is her sort of, it's like streets, it's a grid road. Yeah, the roads, it's a city thing, which I thought quite well, because the photos are from Florence, and the panoramic view of Florence when you get to the top of the hill. So yeah, let's talk about what the photo is going to be about. Actually, I don't think I have mentioned that yet. Whilst I'm just, oh yeah, I'm just adding some of the stenciled blue onto the paler bits on the shard piece. Actually, let's talk about what I'm doing here, and then we'll talk about the photos. So I was going to just put the paste through the stencil, but I've decided actually I am going to stencil brush it on instead, rather than having it as the thick texture paste, because this texture paste is starting to get a little claggy. Sort of thick. I had forgot. So when you are doing this with a stencil brush, give the stencil brush a couple of spritz of water first before you pour it in the glaze. Don't pound it down into the glaze either, because you don't want to push the glaze up into the stencil brush. You just want the end of the brush to pick it up. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm just spraying a bit of water onto the glaze on my mat, and then running my brush back into it again, just to wake the glaze up a bit that I've got onto my mat. I'm finding a heart at the edge of what I've already stenciled to match the stencil up to, so I'm not ending up, going over loads of hearts. Also as well, we're doing it with the stencil brush, it dries really quickly, so you don't really have to panic too much about going over to add the stencil next to it. So this is the heart stencil from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm not doing the whole background. I am just doing it in areas and making sure there are missed bits in some spaces and coming off the edge in others, because I just don't want it to look like it's a whole like transparency overlay. So I do the left side and then I clean up. So I've just washed the brush under the tap in the bathroom. This is how Vicki Boutin dries her brushes. She wraps it in kitchen roll, and that just dries out like that. And I've put my stencil between 2 pieces of kitchen roll as well. Just, if you're doing this with glaze or texture paste or anything, just always get that done straight away. Still not talked about the photos, but what I'm doing here is making my own thickers. So I've got the paper from the collection, which is that craft stripe that's on the back of the blue flowers, and I'm going to use some fun foam as well. And the title is Leg Day Italy Style, so The photos is walking up the hill to the square that's at the top of the hill where you get the panoramic views of Florence. It's Piazzale Michelangelo. I probably pronounced that word wrong. I keep on wanting to say piazza, but is that French or Spanish? It's certainly not Italian. um, so, but yeah, the walk up, we walked up along the path, and it goes like zigzag up the side of the hill all the way up to the top. So Mr. Ding and I really, how it's quite hard work for us. My sister and husband leaning, waiting for us to catch up, but we made it. Glad we made it. Glad we made the effort, because I mean we were absolutely exhausted from walking through Florence, and had stopped for a sit down at one point, but we made it up the hill, and it's not something I thought I would have done, but we did it, and it was so worth it. The view from the top is just so beautiful. We managed to get a bus back, so back to the train station, because we wouldn't like physically capable of walking back through after that walk. But also as well, we would have missed the train if we hadn't. So what I'm doing here is just going around the edge with black. I do try it first of all with Vicky's paint pens, but they are too thick, so I get a Sharpie out. I have gone around the edge of the foam, because I forgot I had black foam in the drawer, and also around the edge of the letters. I went a bit wonky on a couple of letters, but it's fine. I've used Halo Magpie large dies for letters that are in craft, so that's leg day, and then Italy style I've used an L Studio. I think it's Jane, it's the medium Jane alphabet. So it's Hello Magpie James and L Studio Jane, medium Jane. So I decide here, I'd already put the adhesive on the back, and then realised, oh wait, I wanted to do a pocket to tuck tags in, and then I've decided actually, because move them in and out easier if I put it up on 3D foam to give it a gap for the tags to come in and out of. That might be a bit easier. So I'm just going to put 3D foam strips around 3 sides, and then get that onto the background. I'm just making sure it's got the clearance we need there. Those foam strips are scrapbook.com. I've had them before from Stampin' Up as well. So yeah, so that's my pocket for my tags to slide in and out of. And I do use the tag paper from the starters paper pack. Just that deciding on an angle there for this title, and end up nudging the ruler so it moves anyway. So I get leg day down, and then we're going to skip to me to my sticking Italy down. So I line up the bottom of the eye to where it would be in line if it was still on the slant with leg. So that's how I've worked out where that word starts. And it does go to the length of the top of the Y as if it's on a slant with the G. So happy with that placement, and then doing the same with style. I missed the L off to begin with, which thankfully you don't see. Okay, what I do now does actually end up coming off why I've got these other alpha stamps out. So right now I'm looking for a mechanism to use for a flap for journaling on the left-hand page. I've already had my die cutting machine on, so and I already mentioned Mr. Ding was asleep at this point, so I didn't want to put it on again, and I've just used the die and I've stamped it to give me an outline on the paper, and I'm then just going to trim around that and then use my bone folder to score down where the die would put notches in. And then I'm just going to use this for as my mechanism for my journaling. Nearly did it the wrong way then. So then I'm going to choose a piece for my journaling. So I get this from the 6x8 pack, and I'm going to just cut out a lined piece from over the bottom right of this piece of paper. So I put my little hinge on the back of that and then stick that to the photo. So I do put the block down first and then use the photo sort of stood up so I know it's going to flap back in two properly. That does move slightly. No, it doesn't. Sorry, these photos move. Yeah. So yeah, just going to do that. I do end up as well with that piece with the ledger paper. I could have just used a regular pattern, didn't have to be the ledger, with what I end up doing for the journaling in that pocket, which you'll see in a minute. So we're then going on to the second part. It's like a subtitle, basically. I asked Gemini, which is Google's AI, for a title. I explained what the photos were, and it gave me some titles, and then asked them, no, I want it to be a little bit more light-hearted, more playful. And this was one of the titles it gave me when looking at being more playful, and it's Leg Day, Hello Florence, Hello Leg Day Italy style, with a subtitle Hello Florence. So my idea was I was going to put it in this gap here, and then I decided no, it doesn't look right. I put it on the photos, but I wanted it on the bottom photo, and I didn't think there was the room for it, so I was going to put Hello on the top one and Florence on the bottom one, and it just gets all moved around, and I swap the photos around and just put, because I was going to do Hello Florence like this, put Florence underneath, and then I decided I was going to lose too much of the photo, so I swapped the photos around to put Florence on the bottom one, which you'll see here. So Florence is going on the bottom one with the picture of my sister, and I do end up actually just removing it completely, which then makes a mess of the photos. So the photo at the minute with hello on, that's almost at the very top. So that's the photo at the bottom there, my sister on. You can see that like Piazza, the open space below on the next level down. It's sort of like to the edge of that just before you get up to that level. And then the photo of me and Mr. Ding, the photo of my sister looking out, that's the very top level when we got to the very top. The photos on the side, on the left, the first one is as we got to the path. The second one is the top of that path. So that goes up to another, where the road sort of switch back in up the hill. That second one is sort of like the road over the going up the hill. You've still got like these bits of the hill in arches under it with waterfalls coming down. It's really pretty. And then that's the steps up to the next layer from there. And then there was another bit of path, switchback path after that, before we got to the photo with the hello on. And then there was the steps up to the top layer, up to the actual square, Michelangelo square. So distressing some tags there to go in my pocket for the journaling, and so I usually cut all the distressing out. I'm sorry, I forgot to cut it all. I usually just do one or start it, and then all of a sudden magically everything's distressed. I forgot this time. So and then decide on the other side. Oh no, here we go. Yeah, I don't want the letters stuck on the photo, so I do take that all off. It's a lot easier to come off than it does on when I use glossy paper, and I could have got away with it with the bottom photo until I tried to remove it like that, and I ruined it even more. But the top photo, it just wasn't coming off. So I go reprint the photos and replace like the top one and the bottom one there over on the right, and replace them. And now we're coming to, can't have naked tags. So we're just going to add some embroidery. So this is just some burgundy embroidery floss, because the only touch of like burgundy on the page, or mauve, is that one shard. So I just wanted to bring that colour in a little bit as well. So I use that for the tags on this page. I also think, I've got this floss on this side, I need to add some on the other. So I do that journaling panel underneath the flip up of those photos does get changed. The panel stays, but I add to it. So I think this is where I add to it. Oh, here we go. So these Al Studio stamps. I think it's documented stamps, and I am going to create a tab. I don't actually have the dies for these tab shapes, so I am going to hand cut it. So there is a stamp in this that says, is it lift up here? Yeah, lift up here. And so I'm going to add that for the tab on the flap under the photo of me and Mr. Ding. So I'm just going to hand cut that out. What I then do to cover the back of that is I cut the same shape again out black card. You'll see this in a minute. So that when the flaps open, you're not just getting, the back of this piece with, with nothing interesting on it. So yeah, so I've used the other one that I've stamped that didn't stamp quite right because I forgot to condition the stamp. Conditioning stamps, I just go over it with a regular eraser before I stamp first with them normally, and I hadn't on this occasion. So I cleaned it and then did it. So there we go. And then I decide for the journaling over that side, I am going to add more tags. So I then need a pocket. So this is the journaling die cut pack. I don't want the pink one, I want the blue one or the green one. So there we go. I think I actually end up with the orange one. I think I've already used the green on the other Florence page, which is when I first did a flap for journaling. I just don't normally do this kind of hidden journaling because once they're in the albums, I don't want the pages pulling out. But I really liked how it worked out on the page I did, the one that goes before this, when we're walking through Florence. So I decided I want to do it again. I did it slightly different. So yeah. Okay, so just trimming the tags down, same again. I was going to use the square side, the side with the square corners, but you can't write on one of them. It's quite a dark pattern, so I decided to use the journaling, tag, shipping tag kind of shape size on all of them. So just pop in a hole in each of them, and then I am going to trim them down. I think I take 1/8 of an inch off, just so they fit nicely in the pocket. Just adding the thread in here. So yeah, just popping that in. One last one. I have forgot to distress these tags, actually. I do need to do that. So yeah, I think, they are a little bit long. I think if they were not, I don't mind that they were popping out, would have been popping out from behind the photo, because then it would have, been oh look, there's something there I need to go and look at. But they were overlapping the photo above, so that's why I've trimmed them down, because I didn't want them overlapping that photo. So coming to some embellishing now. I actually use the laser cuts. That long tag label is from the die cut pieces, but then I just kind of go mad with the laser cut pieces. Using here a flower cluster from the laser cut. I've put some of the foam strips that the pocket's also made from on there. I could have used strips of, my wheel of foam tape, but I just felt that I had these strips, so I may as well use them. I accidentally ripped this away from its bucket, so I just did the head of flowers rather than the whole thing very carefully, which was a left thumb that doesn't work properly. Took this banner out because I wanted that over the pocket. And then I decided to make one of these paint can flower clusters, but I didn't want to put loads of flowers in it. I'm quite happy with just that one piece. And then I wanted just to add to this cluster on the left, make it a little bit more, bring a touch of yellow over to that page. And I do, yeah, pop a heart in, and there is also, I think I add a bulldog clip as well to this cluster. I added some bits to the photo of my sister at the bottom, and I do add the today label, which ends up getting covered up later on. You'll see this in a bit. Here we go. Yeah, so I just felt that that cluster on the right wasn't quite finished, so I added that bulldog clip in it, and now I'm just adding the today label to the side of that photo of my sister. I am happy with that, but I wanted to add a little bit more to that cluster, and when I end up adding more to that cluster, because I've got all these florals, they're hidden under the flap on the right. They've got, the florals in those clusters on the left. So I wanted to add some florals, and the only place really that it looks right ends up covering that today. I've got 6 tags, I've got 6 photos, so I end up using these faux paper clips of 1 to 6 on the photos, which is going to match up then when I do the journaling. I'll just do 1 to 6 on the journaling, so it'll all match up. And yeah, really, really like how that looks even. Isn't much else I do add now apart from finishing that cluster on the photo of my sister at the bottom. I'm just trying to put the number. There we go. I do actually stick it on this label, and it's I do it so the part of it that's usually at the back is the bit that's at the front, because it's gone either side of one of the words. I'm also trying to very carefully put a little bit of glue because, okay, so I do have fine tip applicator for this bottle. I just find it annoying. So I tend not to add them. I'm really sorry. I don't know if I've got a cold coming back, or if it's pollen, but it's been raining the last couple of days, so it can't be hay fever. So yeah, so just adding. Oh, I add a little foam dot to the back of the 2 and the back of the 3 because they're going on top of that pocket where those tags are. I thought about adding one to the top of the 5, but not sticking it to the page, just so it's there so the 5 doesn't get squashed down. I might go back and do that because I haven't done that. Moving everything out of the way, having a look, and I'm like, yeah, I still need something. I still need a floral on that picture, so I've gone back to the laser cuts. I end up, there's like a crescent one, and I do, oh, I'm just adding some hearts, sorry, because I've got that orange heart over on the left. I put a yellow one on the right to bring that yellow over, and I'm going to pop a green one. It doesn't go there. There we go. It goes in the bucket. I'm really sorry to be sniffling. Oh. So pop this flower cluster over. I pull off one of the long tendrily bits, and then we are nearly done. I'm going to got quite a few close-ups for you, still zooming in, etc. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought in the comments. There's going to be the 30 Days Sketches playlist for you as well in the comments. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.